And hi all, I am back with the Chapman Ml1 Modern baritone. Okay, so you should have just watched the video on the Paranormal, the Squier Paranormal in Seafoam Green. This guitar right here. Okay, if you have not seen that video, go watch it. Okay, so this is a 28-inch scale baritone versus the Paranormal being a 27. Okay, this has locking tuners on it, and the Squier has sort of locking, semi-locking, let's call them tuners on it, hole style tuners on it. This has humbuckers. These are Alico 5 Sonorous, I believe, humbuckers through Chapman. They are splittable, okay? So that means I can get single coil-esque tones out of this with, fairly easy results, okay? That's just a push-pull tone pot to do that. I can use a right angle jack with this one. I cannot do that with the Paranormal, okay? This one has a really cool reverse headstock, and for some reason locking tuners, even though it probably wouldn't be necessary on a fixed bridge guitar. That would be the negative of both of these guitars for me, is that they are fixed bridge. The Paranormal, let me just look here, is noticeably thicker by probably a 1/4 inch than the Chapman. However, the Chapman has the nice comfortable forearm and tummy cut and everything, and a relatively not contoured but concise bridge pocket. This has the same set of strings on it as the Paranormal, which is an 8-string set that we used the middle strings out of. Well, took the 67 and the 10 out of the 8-string set that EB does, and that's what's on both these guitars. Despite this having a longer scale, these strings do not feel tighter. I don't know what's going on there. Technically, that shouldn't be possible. But let's go ahead and listen to this thing. So, humbuckers first. Bridge pickup, clean. So the first thing I notice is that these humbuckers have a lot more power. The amp is clean, and I'm able to break it up pretty easily. Now, I noticed the same thing when I got behind a big amp with that Ml1 I borrowed as well. Bryanson can confirm that. The pickups sounded great, but they were almost just ear-splitting on how hot they were. And we ended up having to turn the volume down, like I just had to really make them sound like, to really make them sound clean. Just started to get some breakup there, and that was about a 1/4 of the knob turn left. So I had the volume down a bit there. Okay, so bridge pickup, single coil. Turn that up because it's a single coil now, so. I might need to set this guitar up again. It has sat for a little bit and the string set is new. Notice it is quiet. That is currently a single coil, and it is not wildly humming away. I realize the amp is clean, but like even the other one, you might not have heard it well, but even the Paranormal hummed in under clean settings. Okay, so both pickups single coil. Both pickups not single coil. This is also the first time I'm hearing this guitar behind the McLaughlin settings. Okay, bridge pickup, or neck pickup humbucker. By the way, I found that the stock strings that came on this guitar just were not sufficient for tuning to A standard, which is what this is tuned to. I do have a wound third on both guitars, by the way. That's not really something I mind, but it is something you need to be aware of. If you need to find string sets, that can be tough. I actually had to order these in case, you know, I wanted any strings in the future. You know, because I'm probably keeping the Chapman. Now, negatives, no tremolos on either of these. But the 28-inch scale is such that if I have to make a bar chord on the first, like a first fret standard bar chord, I have to do it bass style and use my pinky. It just hurts too much. Otherwise, I can do it. Right, but okay. So let me go ahead and turn down the volume here and turn on the dirt. So okay, so you'll notice again in the RV, even though it's a humbucker, there is some hum. This is neck pickup. Both pickups humbucking. Bridge pickup humbucking. Yeah. That sounds pretty good. I was not liking these pickups hugely, but now that I've adjusted the EQ on the amp, because like I said, I used to have a modeling unit and that handled all my EQ, so my amp was just nickeled out, and it took me a minute to get out of that mindset and make some adjustments that kind of really helped improve my tone. Let's see here, neck pickup. The whole having to do first fret bar chords like that is counterintuitive to a guitarist, It's only because I'm also a bassist. I think that comes a little more. Because, if you're going to make bass chords up there, like a bass power chord, you would be kind of instructed probably by any bass teacher to use your pinky to do that because, you're wasting energy if you just have to, like, move it up. You know what I mean? So, both pickups, single coils. Next single coil. Alright, and then bridge single. That sounds pretty. I mean, when you consider that sounds that good, and like it's not any more noisy, at least is a little less noisy than the P90, and then you get, that kind of tone out of it as well. Alright, well, so what does it come down to then? So you have two guitars to choose from here. You got a 27-inch baritone or a 28-inch baritone, and varying different electronics and body shape options out there. If you were comparing these apples to apples or whatever, apples to oranges more like in this case. Well, I mean, not really. This is basically a Stratocaster, right? This is now considered a generic design as well as this. This is a Telecaster, right? I can say that because it is a Fender company, right? Well, I can tell you one thing. The only thing I really like about the Squier is its scale length. Its neck is heavier, not by a whole lot, but its neck is fatter. It has a goopy kind of poly finish on the neck. I don't care about that too much. I can get by it, and sometimes I'll just run some some steel wool on these, and it really helps. But it's another thing to have to do. The pickups are just wonderful clean, but pretty substandard for anything else. So I would say that unless you're planning on playing all of your baritone parts clean, and you'd probably still need some kind of gate live, I don't know that the Paranormal would be for you. If you have the equipment to gate it and everything like that, and do a bunch of EQ stuff to it, I'm sure you could make it sound like $1 million. But if it was going to be between this Paranormal and this really beautiful Chapman Ml1 in Red Sea, and again, I'm no fan of Rob Chapman's, although I think he's making pretty good guitars these days, I'd have the Chapman. And this is actually the second time that I have said I would have the Chapman. That Ml1 I borrowed was pretty good. This is a pretty good guitar. I wish it was an inch shorter, but like I said, as long as I kind of get in my head about like the little foibles it has, it's not that big a deal to me. Although I do find that if I play this thing a lot, it is very fatiguing on my hands. That would really go kind of for both instruments. These have 74 gauge strings, 13 through 74 gauge strings on them, and although the tension is comparable to say playing, I don't know, a Strat, it's not exactly the same. And if you just aren't prepared, or you have like weaker or older hands like kind of I do now, this can be a little bit tough on them. But as stated, I'd have the old Chapman here. This is only about $100 more than the paranormal, and you can find these scratch and dent or whatever for around $5.49, which is really a pretty good deal on them. So I would go, and I would live with the because really when you also get down to it, everything else is really the same. You know, making open chords on this thing is not any more. Is not really any harder than on the paranormal, especially kind of once you get around the second fret. It feels very similar to the paranormal, and the first fret thing is the only thing that I really tend to struggle with a little bit here. And like I said, it's not that I can't do it the other way, it's just less fatiguing. It takes less energy kind of to do it with my pinky. It's like it's just a little big in scale for me. Now, my friend Brian Singh might do better with this guitar. He's like a couple inches taller than me, and his hands are much bigger. He might find this to be more comfortable than the paranormal, for all I know. But my point is, for my company, I think I want everything about the Chapman except an inch less in scale length. I'm going to leave it there. I hope these videos were useful somehow.